Hello and welcome to Paper Traders, a show where two average Joes try to beat the market. I am Eric and I'm here with my co-host Danny, and I'm here to remind you that we're streaming on all your favorite platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, what else are we on, Danny? Twitch. We're here.
Twitter.
Well, it'd be Periscope, I guess, if you
Periscope.
really wanted to be technical about it. But yeah, so please send us your chats and please let us know what you're thinking. Today, we're kind of just going to go around what's going on in the news. And then later on, obviously, we'll get into the battleground. But Danny, why don't you start us off with the first bit of news for today?
Yeah, it's we're starting off a new month. We're coming off the slow and kind of crazy volatile August month, which everybody can kind of understand why. It's because of the kind of uncertainty with the trade war that is going to be continuing until further notice. We don't really have an end date on that one, and doesn't look like we will.
Ever going to end.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but yeah. So we had some numbers actually come out. I wanted to touch on that had to do with the trade balance.
The deficit, yeah, isn't it somewhere around like $54 billion with a B?
It came in at 54 billion, which is lower than expected, which was the expected was 53.4. So yeah, I mean, still better, but it's still a better than the revised amount. I think it was, 55.5. So I mean, it's
darn, $1 whole billion off.
Right. It's not terrible, but it's still going in a negative direction since the month of April. So I mean, these numbers are important, mostly because of what I just mentioned, the trade war. A lot of those just went into effect on September 1st. About $112 billion
and new tariffs, yeah.
Yep. So keep a lookout on those. I mean,
watch all your products from China go up a couple pennies to $1.
Yeah, I read somewhere actually that these new tariffs affect the everyday consumer about $1,000 annually. Obviously, that'll differ between person and person, but on average, I think that was J.P. Morgan Chase came out with that reading. So I thought that was pretty interesting that it actually is going to hit your pocketbook pretty hard, in my opinion. $1,000 on tariffs that don't always directly, hit you.
Yeah,
but
don't directly touch you, but they will.
Yeah. So those numbers coming out yesterday were pretty big. So look out for those moving forward. I mean, it's still better than the last year's December 2018. We're sitting at like 60 billion. So I mean,
so it's better, but not great.
No, I mean, we've been in debt for forever. I can't remember a time that America hasn't.
Yeah, we've never been positive.
Actually, for the past year, I have a little note here. Over the 40 years, the U.S. trade deficit, 40 years ago, the trade deficit was at $0. And then ever since the start of the millennia, we've actually been at $20 billion or more in debt. So that's just a little fun fact for you to kind of keep in your
oh, yeah, that's so great to chew on.
Nugget.
I love knowing that we've never been in the positive in the last 40 years. It's great.
Yeah, but moving on from that, we also had some stuff come out from Hong Kong, which is kind of pushing stock markets in the positive today off of yesterday's drop.
Yeah, because they finally went and threw out that extradition treaty, the whole idea of taking people off of Hong Kong and bringing them to the mainland to, basically put them on trial, which we know how that's going to go in the, red country of China.
Yeah, so if you're unaware, there was a Hong Kong extradition bill that was looking to actually be put into place where they were going to be able to extradite people to Hong Kong.
No, from Hong Kong. Yeah, from Hong Kong. They were to take people from Hong Kong to the mainland to put them on trial.
Okay. So it was with them. They don't have extradition from those places, and they were looking to actually do that. A lot of people were protesting, a lot of uproar.
They shut down the airport for like a week.
Yeah, so a lot of things were kind of going on there, and we had some good news where they were going to basically step down and cancel that for right now. That was positive news.
To play on with that, actually, I know that this morning I was reading the news, and there was a guy, or woman, I'll just say, it didn't actually specify in the article, but they just lost another CEO. I'm pulling up the story right now. It's on Wall Street Journal, apparently. Cathay Pacific CEO resigns after China backlash over Hong Kong protests. And as I was reading, this was the second person
Really?
to resign because of what's going on. So, like, yeah, Cathay Airways says currently they're up, so they must have liked the news. Said its chief executive, Rupert Hogg, has resigned after the airline came under fire from Beijing over its employees taking part in the anti-government protests that have rocked the city. So, I mean, he's actually standing with his people, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know people were getting fired in that kind of capacity over this type of thing because I thought it was kind of something that was only going to be affecting, I guess, the people who are being extradited, if that makes sense.
No, this applies to everybody. So, I mean, Hong Kong, the whole idea there is one state, two rules or something like that. I can't remember the way it's supposed to work, but like essentially,
Yeah, they're like a sovereign state.
yeah.
or
Well, Hong
something.
Kong up until like 1997 was like an independent country ruled by Britain. And when
Right.
Britain turned it over, Hong Kong was basically allowed to continue its capitalist ways, but still be part of China.
Okay.
Well, Hong Kong's like the money hub of China right now. They're capitalists. They're making tons of money.
Yeah,
they're making more money for the government they could ever need.
I mean, they have their own exchange, so.
Right, but the problem being is the Chinese government on the mainland doesn't quite like what's going on. What there's going on Hong Kong's island isn't in line with the party's view of what should be happening. So they want to be able to take people from Hong Kong and bring them to the mainland and basically just lock them up.
That's what it sounds like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to take a huge jump here, but I'm not going to assume that the Chinese, judiciary system is very fair to the, person being persecuted. So,
well, I mean, with the uproars and all the
Prosecuted, sorry.
protests happening, I mean, apparently this was a very big deal. And then them coming out and kind of trying to settle everybody down was big news for not just China and Hong Kong, but kind of in general the global economy or global markets saw a big green day today to help kind of ease that trade tensions that are happening. So, I mean, just from kind of taking a step back and looking at an event like that happening and seeing these green days in the market, it shows me that investors they want the growth to continue in the market. Obviously, everybody does, but when people are running away and trading or selling their stocks, and then this little, because I mean, this wasn't a huge story, right? I mean, this was a big
the Hong
deal,
Kong story?
but it wasn't, in my opinion, something that I would have thought was going to affect the market in such a way.
Oh man, I am going to 100% disagree with you there.
See, I didn't
think
know. Yeah,
Hong Kong is the financial hub of China. Like without Hong Kong, I can't remember. I had read some number somewhere that they are like losing like hundreds of millions of dollars a day because of what's going on over there.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
and because of them taking the extradition bill out, they're not done. The protesters aren't finished there. They're going to continue until the leader of Hong Kong or the mayor or whatever their name is steps down. So the protesters aren't finished.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I saw that there was more protests the same day that when they came out with this announcement. So I don't know. I'm a little naive on this subject, but I saw it came out and that it was giving us positivity throughout the global market. So it's definitely something I wanted to touch on. You have a little bit more knowledge.
Yeah, I want to get her name up right now. It's Carrie Lam. She's what's her?
I'll bring up your screen.
Yeah,
Here.
I'm trying to figure out her official title. Spartans protest. Carrie Lam said televised. Blah blah blah. They're not saying what her actual
All right, and that's on
territory
that's on
chief executive, I guess.
Is that on NBC or is it?
Yeah, this is on
CNN?
MSNBC.
Okay.
But yeah, so I mean, they're not going to give up. I mean, until this woman steps down, I mean, they're going to keep on trucking. You know what?
No, the people.
I stand with Hong Kong on this one. You got to keep what's working, and if you try to get people pulled out for whatever cautious reason that the mainland might have, I kind of feel like that's super shady.
Yeah, I mean, kind of going off of the shadiness there. We're hoping that it doesn't affect the markets going forward as well. We have enough uncertainty, so
yeah, I think that this news will help push some of that aside. I think, especially if she goes and she steps down, I think that it's going to be a really positive move for everybody's market, because if China's working, let's face it, one of the larger economies in the world, then everybody else is going to be working too. So
yeah, U.S. and China, number one and number two economies in the world. Kind of moving on that, we have quite a busy September actually coming up. We have a Fed meeting as well, which a lot of people are going to have their eyes on, looking for the Fed to cut rates again. It's looking more and more that way, that they are going to actually cut the rates And for you guys listening, make sure you're watching out. That is happening on the 17th and 18th of September. And they're going to look to see if they're going to do 25 basis points or 50. So that's kind
a
of the
big deal.
lingering question. Yeah.
That's kind of a big deal. I mean, that's going to do a lot in terms of spending, and in terms of lending, and in terms of like construction. So it could be really good for the market.
Yeah, I think it'll definitely be a positive thing. I mean, in past history, it's always kind of helped the stock market rise and look for more growth. So
I'm sure you're going to see a lot of refinancing happening.
Yeah, those mortgage rates.
Yeah.
And then kind of finally, a few last minute things that are also happening. We have this Friday, we have the unemployment situation report coming out. Everybody was always kind of keeping an eye on that one. That's a big report, especially for just kind of the global economy, see what's kind of going on. And then later this month in mid-September, there's going to be a U.S. and Japan finalization of a trade agreement that was announced. We'll see if that kind of comes into fruition, but I think that would send some positive sentiment in the kind of trade stories. Obviously,
Yeah, I'm
it's
sure
not
once
so
we
good,
get the
so.
ink on the paper with that one, we'll see a pretty good rise because of the fact that there will be a deal there.
Yeah, because I saw that China was actually going to file like some type of lawsuit against us with the World Trade Organization to protest the latest rounds of tariffs. So they're taking everything to the next level now, and we're looking like we're going to go into some type of legal matters beyond just tariffs. So yeah.
Yeah, good luck with that one.
Yeah.
I mean, really, like you guys were recently accused of going and devaluing your currency illegally. Good luck.
So yeah, a lot to look out for this month. Again, we're coming off that kind of, I would call, lazy August usually, where people are all, they're going on the last hurrah of vacations.
Oh yeah.
So
Schools
a lot of low
started
volume.
pretty much all across the U.S.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm
kids
sure
are in school, so
I'm sure most kids are in class right now as we're speaking.
yep, they're not listening to
And
us.
if you
they're
if
studying.
you are listening to us, you should be listening to your teacher instead, because they'll give you a little bit more information about what's happening in the world. But yeah, so on the next story, I got Tilray real quick. I want to touch on. So on Yahoo Finance here, they happen to be one of the top stories. And
Tilray's who is that again?
So Tilray is one of the marijuana producers up in Canada, and they're actually in the article talk about how they're kind of all over the place. They're looking to expand into Germany, Portugal, and I think I just read that Uruguay also legalized. But
jeez, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I know.
There's so many countries out there that have legalized.
So there's actually a quote here from him toward the bottom. If you give me a second to find it, he had said something around the line of, there's 20 countries that have legalized and sell. Here we go. We see 2 countries, Uruguay and Canada, that have legalized adult use marijuana. We have got 194 to go, added Kennedy. So he's
100.
Yeah.
That is a very optimistic standpoint.
Very optimistic. But
basically saying, look, world, we're
here.
waiting for you to legalize
Right.
it all, because we're just waiting. We know it's going to happen. It's just when you're going to let it.
Well, and yeah, the first sentence in
man.
this article basically says, with Tilray's stock off about 90% from its intraday high hit in September 2018, you've got a lot of convincing to do, Mr. Kennedy, to try to get people to back you up.
Tilray, that company does kind of stand out. I believe it was one of those that kind of was a high flyer when marijuana was kind of
First really hit once Canada fully legalized.
A couple years ago, was it back in early 2018? Everybody was kind of jumping on the bandwagon. Slowly kind of still is, which rightfully so. This is a big market that is just now opening up for a lot of businesses and investing opportunities. So
I'm going to take a look, see where they're sitting right now. TLRY. If I can type today. Yeah, I feel that, if anything, the Canadian model is going to show us what will happen here domestically if the United States actually goes full federal legalization. Because, to be honest with you, I feel like...
Is Canada fully legal?
Oh, yeah, fully legal for adult use. Yeah, they're 100%. You can travel with it and everything else.
Okay.
So right now, apparently the market didn't like the news. Not they're down there that much, but they're sitting at 28.70 and they're down today. So I wouldn't probably suggest. Yeah, look at this. If you got my screen up, Danny, you got
I do. Yeah.
F.
It's a very volatile stock. I'm sure it's not one for the faint of heart. If you're buying that stock, you're either looking for a very long-term play or you're looking for something short, meaning you're getting in and out.
Yeah, probably. I mean, on some sort of short move, but yeah, it's not looking good for him. So I don't know if that news helped at all. All right, well, I think you know what time it is, Danny.
Is it the battleground?
I think it's time to go to the
All
battleground.
right, here we go. I love that. It's such a great little animation we put together. I hope you guys enjoy that because every time I watch it, I kind of get a little smile.
Because it's funny. It is so retro Nintendo. Oh, we're playing it again. Danny loves it so much. He's playing it again.
We're just gonna let it play.
It's just so 1995 Nintendo-y. I love it.
Yeah, it brings me back a little, into my nostalgic days.
Playing my brother on, the Nintendo and having his controller unplugged so he could think that he was actually playing. Yes, I was that brother. I was always player one.
You were the mean guy.
I was always player one in my family. I never played as Luigi. All right. So real quick here, taking a look at the Paper Traders watch list. We're not seeing much in the red, so it looks like we've kind of come up a little bit on just about everything we've added. CRISPR still down, Elevate Credit still down, Innovative Industrial Properties down a little bit today, and then
they're down a lot actually over the past couple weeks. They're down probably like 10, 15, I believe.
It's not like, it's also the end of the building season too, so it's one of those.
Well, they're a REIT that buys and sells properties for companies that will, speaking of marijuana, that actually will be doing the cultivation of the product. So,
so they're renters basically.
Yeah, I mean, they're actually the only legal play and I could be completely wrong. There might be something else out there that I've missed. Please chime in and let me know if that's the case, because they are, in my opinion, one of the only legal ways of actually investing in weed or marijuana or whatever you want to call it.
You're right.
In the U.S. Everything else is in Canada. Tilray, Aurora, all that good stuff. So I don't know.
You are correct.
It's definitely a good one. That's why it's on the watch list. It is a not very, but it's fairly volatile, and due to the recent month and what's been going on, it got hit pretty hard. But yeah, it's definitely one to watch out for.
So going back to the list here, I mean, there's not much that I'm looking at that I'm willing to just add yet. I mean, Take-Two Interactive is one that I've wanted to, but I mean, it's just a little too expensive for me to hop in there, and they don't have anything in their pipeline coming up that's gonna.
No, the only new video game that I know that came out was from Blizzard, which is their World of Warcraft expansion. So
oh yes, Danny.
I am one of those. Yeah, it's funny because it's one of those games where it's kind of more about the nostalgia. I played it as a kid growing up, and they re-released it, so you have millions of people jumping back in and reliving that childhood moment.
Chaos.
It is chaos, but it's a lot of fun and is stealing a lot of time from my life right now. So
yeah, I guess it could be worse things you could be doing with your time.
Yeah.
So with that, I think I'm feeling a little optimistic about the market. Things are kind of looking up. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the Zacks ranked number ones, and I am going to pull the trigger on something that looks good today.
All right, let's take a look.
The full list here, we start with Matrix Service Company, which is oil and gas. Actually, I feel like that's a pretty decent play, so I might actually just grab that one. But let's see what we got if we sort by VGM scores, what we got in the up top here. Hibbett Sports. That's actually one that Tracy actually likes. I've heard her talk about that one a couple times.
Yeah, it's funny when you do these, the ranking lists and kind of looking through them. It's funny when you see a lot of these names. I have no idea who they are, but apparently these companies are outperforming and doing very well. I mean, their earnings are going up. That's why they're a number one. I mean,
you've got Casey's here. Casey's is another one. Tracy favorite.
That's I think in the South, is that?
Yeah, I think it's a southern chain. Yeah, okay. I don't think we have any here in Illinois, but maybe in southern Illinois, but I'm not sure. To be honest,
I'm not familiar.
But looking at the list, I mean, there's a couple of names that I do know.
I know Guess, but apparel not so hot in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I feel
maybe they're outperforming in that sector.
I think they're probably performing now just because back to school. You gotta figure there's got to be some retail there going on. People buying new kicks and whatnot before they go back to class. So.
Yeah, and you get the holidays coming up here in the next few months. So.
I would imagine that right now, though, if you were to buy in, you're probably either missing what happened with back to school sales,
or it's a little risky.
Right. I think especially with Guess. I mean, I'm not a fashionista as they call them, but
fashionista.
don't think I've seen anybody wear Guess anything in years.
No,
Like,
it's like the what was it? The Ed Hardy's.
yeah,
Remember
there you
Ed
go. There's
Hardy's?
another retro brand.
I rem-
I am proud to say I never owned anything
I
Ed
owned
Hardy.
one thing of Ed Hardy,
Oh,
and
boo.
it was
Boo to
totally out
you.
of just trying to fit in. I'm kidding. No, it was one of those things that I bought without even knowing, and ended up, a couple months later, like everybody was kind of like into it. So
Well, I'll be
I
honest
don't
with
know.
you. Looking at this, Matrix came up as the first in the list for stock rank, number one pick under the full list, and came up as the VGAA at the top of the list at
Really?
1886.
Double whammy.
I'm gonna take a look here and see if this isn't worth picking up.
Slightly up today, which isn't a bad thing.
No, it's a number one rank one strong buy BBAA, so you're not doing bad there. ESPC is 0, so a little bit of nothing there, no dividend. 52-week high is at 1543, so they're actually above that.
No, that's their 52-week low. 52-week
Or,
high was
sorry,
net
25.75. So I mean, a little below that.
Yeah, you got room to move.
And looking at the chart just quickly, let's go.
It looks like they got hit hard recently.
I'm gonna go through the price consistency in EPS.
You see that recent earnings beat? Looks like the market loved it, and then was just like, nah, we're gonna give that back.
Yeah, they were down pretty low here. 935 is what 815 it's saying here. So I mean, that's actually not bad. We've
that was a couple of years ago. Yeah,
they're below 20. I mean, I think I'm gonna add it.
Consensus is looking like you have some room up towards the 52-week
Yeah, I mean,
high with the
2020 is looking pretty good.
yeah,
I
the
don't see
earnings
anything
estimates
for
coming out.
2021 yet, so they might not have had anything. Let's real quick take a
yeah,
look
not
at
enough. Probably not enough analyst estimations coming out for that just yet.
Let's go to the snapshot. I do like using the snapshot because it's got a little bit of everything in there.
The detail estimates are my favorite.
Detail estimates is good too. I just like the snapshot for quick looks like this just to see if I want to really get into it. So agreement, not applicable there. I don't know, Danny. This is looking like a pretty solid pick.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do it.
You're gonna pull the trigger?
I'm pulling the trigger. I'm putting it in the list.
All right. Are you
I'm
gonna
on
like
portfolio.
average it in, or are you just gonna jump in and
Well, for the sake of keeping this short at the moment, I'm gonna go and I'm just gonna add it into it. So
okay.
it says it's in. I'll go and quickly add my allocation. I mean, at $20, I feel like I could probably get away with a couple hundred.
Yeah.
So maybe I should do like maybe 7 shares. 7 shares seems fair.
So if you haven't seen how the portfolio works, you add it by kind of how Eric just demonstrated by hitting that portfolio, and then you want to go ahead and add the number of shares that you actually want to allocate to your.
I'll be honest with you. I just lost it. It's Matrix.
Oh no.
It's not that one. Whoops. Let's just go back. We'll make that easy. MTRX. Okay.
Oh, you can add it from the.
I tried doing it that way, but I figured. Oh,
it's right there. It just needed
to
to refresh the page.
Needed to refresh it. Okay, so I'm gonna do 10 shares. I'm gonna be ballsy about this one. I feel pretty confident.
Yeah,
this
that's
is
your
gonna
highest
play out.
allocation to any.
It is. It is. I feel like it's a good play though. I feel like it's a really good play, and if it keeps kicking, then I don't have anything to be ashamed about.
No, and kind of moving from there, I'm gonna give you my pick. My pick's a little bit different. It's probably more on the conservative side. Just with what happened over the past month, I thought it would be a good time to again deploy my dividend kind of strategy. Yeah, so we're doing what Dave called the old man strategy, but I like it. It's a little bit safe. It's one that you don't have to sit here and constantly monitor. And with the way you're seeing kind of equities and where people are tending to put their money right now, it seems like that might be a little bit more of a safe haven. So the company I chose, or the ETF, I'm sorry.
Ooh, ETF. We're
yeah,
getting a little fancy here.
Very fancy. We want even extra safe. So not only are we getting a dividend, we're making a ETF here. And if you don't know, an ETF is kind of a collective of stocks that
stands for Exchange Traded Fund.
There you go. This one's run by a company called ProShares. It's the S&P 500 Dividend Aristocrats. So what that means is these companies have been paying dividends and have continued to grow their dividends for over 25 years. So they're very strong.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, they're very strong companies. It's like Procter and Gamble, things like that. So
Let's take a look at the allocation. What was the ETF there you're adding?
it's NOBL.
And
Again, it's the S&P 500 Dividend Aristocrats. Pays about a 2% dividend yield. So it's not huge, but again, this is more a play for me to say, hey, I want to get in the market, make sure I'm still having, exposure. But I think with the way things might go over the next, month or so and the volatility, I think people might move their money into more safe companies, and that's kind of why I'm looking at this one, and I'm definitely going to be adding it here today as well.
A lot of sectors. It's right here. If you take a look at my page, you got the sectors as of 9/3/19. Consumer staples at the very top of it, with industrials, then financials, consumer discretionary, materials, healthcare, energy, telecommunication, utilities, and real estate. Surprisingly, at the very bottom.
Yeah,
that's kind of crazy.
Utilities, yeah, that is surprising because one of our holdings is a utility, at&t. And we bought that because it was a little bit more of a safe play, and again, they have a dividend too. So yeah, I mean, it's again one of those things I was pretty impressed with. Here's some of the holdings here.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Target corporations at the very top.
Procter and Gamble,
Brown and Foreman, right at the top.
Brown and Foreman, we spoke about. I think
Procter
a week or so.
Procter and Gamble, aren't they cigarette producers?
I'm not sure.
I think they are. I'm gonna look that up while you're talking.
Yeah, and then you got at&t. Here, we'll go to my screen so we're not showing all your search. But yeah, Brown and Foreman, they're the Jack and Daniels distributor. You got Sherman-Williams, PepsiCo. I mean, the list goes on. Coca-Cola, Walmart, McDonald's. So these companies are very solid.
Oh man, I'm way off. Procter and Gamble, always menstrual hygiene products.
Okay,
Ariel
so yeah.
laundry detergent.
A to Z.
Yeah, Bounty paper towel, Charmin Crest toothpaste, Dawn, Downy, Fairy washing
They're
liquid,
like another
Febreze.
Johnson and
yeah,
Johnson.
pretty much. Yeah,
so.
no sig brands.
Okay,
I was wrong.
Thank goodness. I was like, no, I don't think
I could
they
have
are.
thought. I could have sworn, but I was wrong.
All right. So yeah, that's. I mean, you can see right there. It's a very big snapshot of why I'm very interested in getting this type of play in the portfolio. Again, a little bit of volatility has been going on. I'm thinking, hey, let's get in the market, but in a little bit more of a safe way. So we're gonna go ahead and add this to our portfolio here, and again, we'll walk you through kind of how that works. Let's see here. Oh, with this one, they don't even have add portfolio, actually.
Oh, the ETF doesn't?
Oh, no, they hit it. It's at the top right. Aha.
Oh, yeah, they did. It's a little different button.
A little bit different. Doesn't have the orange one, which is fine. So there you go. It adds to our portfolio. And we're going to now go to it because we're
How big you going, Danny?
Allocation.
How big you going?
Not too big. We're going to keep it relatively conservative.
Man, it's almost $70 a share, so...
Yeah, it's a little bit up there in cost, but I think overall we'll be okay. So let's let this load up. Gotta love these screens.
That's what happens when you're searching the internet and trying to do something on air. It's inevitably going to be slow.
All right. So we got Noble here. We're going to want to go to the edit button. And I'm thinking that
drum roll, please. How many is he doing? Oh, that's the wrong one. I didn't know that John Cena walked in. 70.
So 70. We'll let's do 10 shares. I kind of like that number.
We both added 10 today. Look at us.
So we'll go ahead and save that.
We're getting crazy.
Up in here. All right, there we go. So it's a pretty simple process. If you have your own portfolio kind of going on, this tool is great. It's just something you can add. You can watch kind of how the stocks will or will not kind of affect your portfolio. If you were wanting to add them, you can kind of just get an idea of the performance.
And we do want to warn you that we are paper trading. Unless we buy these, we will tell you that otherwise. But currently, yeah, we are just paper trading. So
yeah, please
be aware that we're watching these just the way you should if you're planning on actually purchasing these for your future portfolio.
Yeah, and again, we started with a $5,000 kind of base idea of how we would start our portfolio, and we're just kind of slowly working our way through the thousands of stocks. We're trying to figure out the right strategies, what's going on in the market, trying to place ourselves the best we can, especially from all the knowledge we've kind of accumulated so far over the past, I'd say, 10 weeks now, with all the guests and stuff from Tracy to Kevin. We had Shiraz Mian on here. So a lot of good information we're trying to deploy. I think we're doing a pretty good job, but we'll see how it goes over the next few months and stuff. So, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for our show today. We wanted to thank you all for joining us, and please be sure to check out Ben Rains, who does the other end of our block. We are here on Mondays and Wednesdays. Ben Rains is on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and he does free lunch at this exact time. So, well, I should say a half hour previous to right now. But thank you for listening and watching. I would remind you to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, what you'd like to see, who'd you like to talk to. We're going to try to get a guest in here, hopefully next week. But please be sure to let us know if there's somebody here that you'd want us to bring on. You have any questions for them? Send them our way. freelunch@zacks.com. And with that, we will see you Monday.
Later.